So, by the time you watch this, it will be New Year's Eve, and yes, I will be off, but it's kind of hard. Like I've mentioned before, it's kind of hard to do things with, my mom off at that time. I mean, even though she'll basically be like 2 days, well, actually, she'll be like 3 days. That day, New Year's Eve, she'll be 3 days out from finishing a vacation, and then she goes back on the third. I don't know what my schedule will be on the first full week of January in 2023, but I shall see. The way things are going right now, people might say, well, you may not even have a schedule the way things are going, but I beg to differ. I mean, right now, as I'm doing this video on the 21st, the first day of winter, December 21st, 2022, basically 10 days before, it's also the week before Christmas. Yeah, it's been crazy. It has been absolutely crazy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I think that's how we have to look at this year, in itself. The fact that it's been a crazy year. I mean, you look around all of entertainment and sports, and you've had a lot of notable names pass and, leave us, before their time, and it's just hard to believe. I mean, 2022 is like one of those years where people are now counting down the days to New Year's Eve, and counting down the minutes, and the hours to midnight, on New Year's Eve, that brings us into 2023 so we can be out of this, all because of things that have been happening. But outside of that, 2022 for me personally has been, a tremendous year. Well, not tremendous, but outside of my dog passing, back in the spring, and she was going on. We got her about, I think we got her basically about a year before my great nephew was born, and I think that was 2008. We got her in November of 2008, and she had been with us ever since then. So she lived a long life. She lived a long life. She lived about 13 and a half, 14 years. And, outside of her passing, right before I went to work, where I had to call my job up and say I couldn't make it because emotionally I was a mess, and my mom was the same way. Outside of that moment, everything else has been pretty good. Everything else has been all right. Again, mentioning my job there, in fact, that's probably the top thing I'm thankful for, looking back at 2022, as a big major positive. And that is the fact that I am working now. Yes, I'm working for essentially my old job's competitor, the rival. It's similar to them in several ways, if not a bit different. I couldn't be more grateful. I mean, have I had my ups and downs with the company, with the store since I've been there? Absolutely. Am I basically, when it comes to some situations, riding on thin ice? Absolutely. But that's the thing. You have to make mistakes. There's one thing I can respect about this job is, you have to make mistakes to learn from them. And there's been various times I have made a lot of mistakes, to where, I could be right now speaking to you jobless again, but thank God that wasn't the case. And right now, like I said, we're in a situation as I'm doing this video to where, like I said, it's the week before Christmas, and it's just been non-stop craziness since, the first, official day of the work week for this week, which was Sunday. And what was crazy about that is, the week before Thanksgiving, the Sunday before that, They understood, that I couldn't make it on that Sunday. You know, I couldn't get a Lyft ride. I didn't even know we had an Uber driver. I don't even know if we had an Uber driver here in Newman at that time. But I couldn't get a ride. And I know you're thinking, well, shouldn't your mom be able to take you? Or shouldn't the buses run? The thing is, the buses, unlike, let's say, Turlock and Modesto, and even Merced and Los Banos, they don't run, on Sundays. From Newman, Patterson, Groves Landing, and Gustine. They don't. They only run Monday through Saturday. And on Saturday, they're very limited, as I said in the live stream I did this past Saturday as well. That, they are extremely limited in their hours. That instead of every hour and 40 minutes, like today, they are basically every 3 hours. They're every, once in a while, if you will. Like, the first bus on a Saturday is 6:28. The next bus is 9:28. Stuff like that. And you might ask yourself, well, why do they space it out? What do they do? And I think what they do is, they go back to one of the main bases they have around. They do the route. They pick people up if they have to pick up people. But, if they don't, they just drive around, go to a rest stop, go get something to eat. Maybe if they're allowed to, they can go home for a little bit and check up on things. Or maybe do a little Christmas shopping. Who knows? But, it's just a situation to where whether you like it or you don't like it, the bus system that I ride with doesn't work on Sundays. And, as far as my family goes, my family's put their foot down, basically. My mom kind of has put her foot down to where, unless it's really necessary, she will not take me. And you might ask yourself, well, why not? I thought mothers are supposed to take care of the kids. And they do. No matter how old they are, mothers are supposed to be there for the kids. The problem, and I think I've mentioned this before in a video, is we both went through a situation to where it changed her whole outlook, if you will, on driving at night or driving long distances even during the day or during certain conditions. And what happened, and this was like several years ago, I think it's right after my older sister moved, not my older sister, but my second older sister had moved to a house on the, edge, kind of the border of Modesto and Empire. And what happened is we were coming home and it was dark. We were going down a road we knew, but it was still dark. And I don't know what happened. I mean, I know I was on my phone. That was one mistake, I believe that was made. But I know it was on my phone. I kept looking up just briefly, and the next thing I know, all of a sudden, and we're running right into a dirt. All of a sudden, we're driving right off the road and into a field, and the airbags deployed. And I don't know what happened. How that. I don't know how that happened. I mean, there's been discussion back and forth of whether or not my mom may have fell asleep at the wheel because it was late and she was tired. I don't know. But yeah, she was shooken up after that, and she's made a vow ever since then that she doesn't want to go through with that anymore, and that she has to go to my second older sisters in Modesto, in Empire, if you will, and she'll ride with my older sister and her family instead, because she doesn't want to go through with that anymore, no matter what. And that's why even during the day, even like right now it's foggy, she will not drive this kind of stuff. She's even told her job, hey, if it's too foggy for me, I am not coming in. I am not coming in because I don't want to risk my health and my danger. It's not worth it. Now, what's interesting about that when it comes to this past Sunday is they didn't let me do that. I tried to explain to them that I had no other ride. The Lyft ride that I had scheduled had basically canceled on me, and I wasn't sure why it had canceled on me until I looked it up, and I found out that for some odd reason, when it comes to certain banks, like the one I have, they will not accept your card even if you have money. And I read somewhere that might be an issue on my bank side, but I guess after multiple uses, they will not accept your card, or they will not let you make another transaction with it when it comes to Lyft. And again, I don't know what the reasoning is. I don't know if Lyft has some kind of controversial history with my bank and other banks, because something happened that maybe one of the drivers did something. I don't know. And, I thought, honestly, okay, because what I did is I grabbed my phone, and my mom was getting ready for church. I grabbed my phone, I put on the speaker, I let her listen to what my manager was telling me, so she can get an idea. Yeah, when it comes to these kind of days before holidays, you can pretty much forget about me calling in, Anyway, I decided after that, okay, I decided after that, okay, sounds like my mom's going to take me, right? But then I figured, okay, let me try Uber, see what happens. And thank the Lord, my first Uber ride was from someone here in Newman, and it allowed my mom to go to church.
I couldn't verify your voice. You can try again, and then later, upgrade to the latest version of Voice Match. To do that, check the notification
Alexa,
I just
stop.
sent you.
I don't know why. That's weird. I don't know why it went off like that. I do apologize. But anyway, like I said, thank God, when I decided to check out Uber, because multiple times when I would try to do Uber outside of Lyft, it would not get me a ride. But thankfully, it happened this time because, this time around, unlike Thanksgiving, we had someone living in here in Newman that was an Uber driver. And I'm assuming he's an Uber driver because he saw exactly what we all saw. We do not have an Uber. So he picked me up. He was actually going to Turtle Rock, got the notification, said, oh, cool, got my first ride, out of Newman. I'm sure he's got multiple rides outside of Newman. But, he was driving to Turtle Rock outside of Newman. He got a notification, turned around, and said, oh, cool, my first, Uber appointment in Newman. Because he's got most of them outside, I guess. Anyway, like I said, I let her know that I got it, and she was thankful for that. But then when I tried to get another Uber ride to my sister's for my second older nephew's birthday, just like Lyft, it wouldn't let me schedule. I mean, it looked like it was going to let me schedule, but then all of a sudden it was confirming drivers. It's like one driver looked like they were on their way. They were about 5 minutes. She was about 5 minutes out, and then all of a sudden, sorry, we're going to confirm something else. And then another one looked like they were about to come, and then another change to confirming, and then nothing. So I don't know if it's the same thing like Lyft, but yeah, I had to call upon my mom to get me home, and my brother-in-law, my older sister's husband, came and got me. It was just. Yeah, it's just one of those situations to where, this week has been one of those weeks to where you just gotta be prepared. You gotta be ready for things to happen. You can't just, deny it and all that. But, in my family's case, my mom's case, I understand it. And I don't want her to have to put herself in that kind of danger. But she almost had to go out of her way. She didn't want to miss church because she missed it last week. But outside of that, like I said, I was just happy, back in January to get this job. And again, like I said, I've had my ups and downs, absolutely. Am I kind of riding on thin ice? Absolutely. And that's why when I see this kind of schedule, I'm like, I'm like, oh, you know, I know I gotta be there, but it's gonna be difficult because I don't know any other option, outside of Uber or outside of, well, not just Uber and Lyft, but outside of outside of the bus. So, it's just, so, so yeah, it's just one of those situations that, you know, you gotta learn as you grow. You gotta learn as you grow. And again, like I said, looking back at this year, you know, I that working for Target now is probably one of the best positives I've ever had. And everybody's come to like me there. In fact, there's a lot of people from my old job that shop there, or they used to work with me at my old job at Walmart, that saw me and they're kind of surprised. They're like, "Oh my God, this is where you are now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And even when I would go into Walmart and they would ask where you are, where I'm at, and I would show them, they would joke around and say trader, and all that because I was with them for 6.5 years, and now here I am with the rival. I look at it kind of like from a wrestling standpoint, someone being with a company for so long that you don't think they're going to go anywhere else, that they're a lifer, excuse me, and all of a sudden they they get released, they're hired, if you will, like in my case, fired, and then they probably take a break, heal up, and then next thing you know, they show up in a rival promotion, and people will look at them as, and maybe just fondly joke with them and call them a traitor because hey, now you're working for working for the enemy, for the rival. Yeah, but for me, again, like I said, going, but for me, like I said, it's just been great. It's just been awesome. I mean, I started at a time basically when it pretty much was, my job was pretty much, I should say, renovating itself on the inside and somewhat on the outside. For example, it was during this time, during the renovation, that we found out a lot of things were coming to our store, and I told you guys throughout the year about what was coming to the store, and I even showed you guys, hearing things of, the Disney store, which, newsworthy wise, had partnered with Target, so we were getting, that, and of course we were getting a Ulta Beauty, which we did, and also the fact that we were getting back our cafe, not like what it used to be, where you had people behind there, serving food to you, taking your orders and all that. It was more like, hey, now you gotta just, it's more like along the lines of when you go to a deli, if you will, and you see like fried chicken freshly prepared, packed up and ready to be bought by you. All you have to do is get it, put it in your cart, take it to the checkout when you're ready, and scan it, or have the cashier scan it for you, or you scan it yourself at the self-checkout, and you're good to go. It's kind of like that, the new cafe. And outside of that, again, like I said, we got Ulta, we got Disney, we finally got Apple in there. And what's different about these interpretations is basically the fact that you don't have separate registers, in these little mini stores, if you will, these little mini shops, where somebody's wearing a Disney store, outfit, or Disney store, shirt, if you will, that says Disney store on the side and their name on the other side. You don't have that with, the mini shop for Ulta and anything, or you don't have that with the mini shop for Apple. It's all basically, you get the stuff there, you bring it up to the self-checkout or the regular register, and you're good to go. I mean, Ulta does have somebody there that they work for us, and she just has like this little zebra, little device that lets her, check the person out. Again, it's been a very wild experience for me, working there for as long as I've been doing it, and the fact that I started basically, I'm just checking the time there. The fact that I started somewhat in between as cashier and cart attendant, and then basically became cashier, due to, again, one of the incidences, one of the mistakes I've made that I've learned from, it, you know, it's, like I said, it's been quite a year. It's been quite the year. And once you get yourself adjusted, after you've learned from these mistakes, once you get yourself adjusted to how things are, done similarly, if not differently, at a company that's, a store that's similar to the one you came from, once you learn from that, you're good to go. You are absolutely good to go. And I'm happy about it. And I'm happy, that, these mistakes happen because, I'm learning from them. I mean, one of the things that I've been talked to about was the fact that, part of the incidences, which was kind of unsafe, is there was one time I didn't get enough sleep and, I ended up kind of dozing off at the register. And I did not want to be sent home because I didn't want to lose out on money, so I had to find a way to wake myself up. And it was during, I think, one of my lunch hour where I rested a little bit, got something to eat, and I was good to go. But yeah, they got on me about that, and ever since then, I've not done that. Or at least tried not to. I mean, there have been times, various times, throughout the past week where I felt like, oh, here I go, here comes the dozing, but I just keep myself awake. I said, nope, you got to keep going, Brian. And only when I get home do I crash down here, on my bed in the back, or I crash down on the floor, And you might say, well, why would you crash down on the floor? Well, what I do is I take the pillows that are behind, that I use to put behind these pillows, not these pillows, but I use these pillows, and what I do is I take the two blankets that my mom bought me, well, one of the blankets my mom bought me and one that my sister made for me, and I put them on top of each other, then I put the pillows on top of that, and then I just go to sleep, for a while. I try to time myself so that, when I get up, after like maybe 45 minutes or 30 minutes, I can get up, get my, if I don't already have my, PJs on, get those on, and then get my bed ready and go right to bed, or something like that. Or what I'll do is I'll fall asleep, put my head down, fall asleep in the new lounge, which was also a new addition because our original lounge was in the front, and now the new lounge, is in the back. And I think they did that for a reason, honestly. They did that because they want to make sure that when we take our 15-minute breaks or even our lunches, that we're close by, and they keep pretty much an eye on us, And I was kind of surprised that, I mean, I kind of knew, but I was also kind of surprised that they basically, were able, they keep time of you, they kind of keep track of your lunchtime. And that was another, and just to show you how stressful this week has been for a lot of us, and the difference in schedule to where, like for me today, it's only one day off. I've been working since Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then I work tomorrow, Friday, and potentially Saturday, to show you that it's been that kind of a week. My main ETL, or my main TLs, they call them team lead, got on me for the fact that, I was late coming back from lunch 2 days in a row. And the reason being is because I had to use the restroom before I left, and I had to go. I mean, I don't want to sound disgusting or anything, but when you have to go, right? So my TL got on me about that because I would waste an additional 5 minutes or so before I would clock out, go to the TSC, if you will, and clock out to, go to lunch. And look, I told her I'll do better. And yesterday I did. She suggested, oh, do you got a timer? Do you got a phone? and everything. I was like, yeah, I do. So I set my timer. As soon as I clocked out, I set it for a little after 45 minutes to about 43 minutes and 45 seconds. 43 minutes, 45 seconds. And, just, proceeded to, go from there. And it worked. There was no issues whatsoever. I used the restroom during the lunch. And like I said, no issues whatsoever. But, it's like when I told my mom, she's like, well, what is she, it's like she was kind of confused, like, well, why would she get on you about that? You got to go, right? you know, but again, when I kind of explained what the reasoning was, my mom did kind of understand, but still, it was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Why would they get on you for just going and trying to take care of business before clocking out? Again, it's just one of those learning experiences you go through when you work this kind of a job. It really is. One of those situations. Um, outside of that, um, outside of those moments, and I'll be honest with you, and I know I'm not the only person that works in retail that's probably seen this. I think we all know that when it comes to these major holidays, like unlike the other holidays that have come and are upcoming, like already my store kind of has like a little small section of Valentine's stuff ready, and I'm sure after that it'll be like Easter and everything, and St. Patrick's, which again I've been through, but comparing it to now, it pales in comparison. It's just it literally is nothing short. And basically the difference is night and day. It's like, yeah, we're busy, but it's not this busy, if you kind of get what I'm saying. But yeah, I can understand that it is stress, that my various team leads, as a matter of fact, are stressed. And one of the reasons that I've noticed is because of the fact that just like at Walmart, when they would call out for code Spark for everybody on the floor that has cashier experience to come up and help, cashier to get these lines down, whenever they would whenever they would call up people from the floor to the front, at Target, at my new job, when they would say something along the lines of, I can't think of it right now because we say it a lot. It's something along the lines of, "Can we get back up to the front? Yeah. Can we get back up to the front, please?" When we say something like that, or TL say something like that, people will come up. They will, but lately there's been, some kind of change, and where some people will come up. Like one girl I've become friends with, I don't know if maybe that's a sign from God. Like I see her every time, almost like first thing in the morning when I get there. Like she's one of the first people I see, and communicate with. I don't know if that's a sign from God saying, hey, she or someone like her might be the one. But truth be told, she along with a few will come up, but it's almost like when she's not there, or she's on her lunch, or other people are not there and they're on their lunch or they're on their breaks. It's we need basically back up to the front. For some odd reason lately, not a lot of people come to the front. They don't. And why, I do not know. I do not know why they do not come to the front. But maybe I do. And I've been wanting to tell my TLs, my ETLs, my team leads this too. That I think basically, and I'm not naming names here, but I think some of these people that are on the floor that should come up and help, they're either busy with other customers, you know, or they're just saying that because they don't want to deal with the front. They see the lines that are forming, they see how the customers are acting, they're like, I ain't dealing with that, I'll make up an excuse. Well, reasoning I can't do it. You know, because they don't want to deal with it. And that's the truth. I mean, yesterday, you know, because I'd seen this before, you know, like last week and this week as well, but yesterday was worse. Because we would have lines going all the way to the Ulta section, to the beauty, like we have our regular HBA section here, and on the other side we have Ulta. And we had a line over the past couple of days, if not the past week, you know, various times, I should say, at various times going up to Ulta. But yesterday was, like I say, was worse because it went beyond Ulta. It went almost all the way into basically grocery, almost grocery, I would say, almost near the CVS pharmacy we have in there. That's how bad it was. And it's one of those situations to where, you know, when you're hired to do a job and you start out in one section and then you gradually, you know, evolve and gradually move on to another section of the store, another department, when you're called to basically back up to the front, or you're called for Code Spark to help in the front, you know, you should respect what they're trying to tell you. These are the people that hired you. You should respect what they're telling you and basically go there, basically kind of stop what you're doing. If you don't have customers, just carefully stop what you're doing and say, hey, I'll be, and if you got a walkie, if they give you a walkie, say, hey, I'll be right up there. End of story. There you go, no issue. But again, I think I've noticed, you know, something similar like I've noticed with my old job, and that is times that, you know, they know it's going to be busy and they're like, screw this, we're not dealing with this shit. You know, we're not dealing with it whatsoever. I mean, and to give you a good example, I think we hired two new card attendants, if you will, and I don't know if both of them, if not one of them, that was supposed to be there yesterday in the morning. He's supposed to, like, because normally we have a card attendant for the morning to afternoon and then afternoon to evening, right? Or in this case, we have a morning to afternoon, an afternoon, and an afternoon to evening kind of deal. We have like a tag team situation going on. And what happened is the guy that was supposed to be there called out. And I think he had called out maybe the second day in a row. I don't know, he didn't. He was there on Monday, but he called out. And I was like, why did you call out? Why didn't you come in? And I think it's the fact that he saw how busy it got. He's like, you know, hey, we're running out of cards. What's the point of me being here, right? So he probably figured I'll just spend my day doing whatever I want to do, you know, kind of relax, and then come in. And, you know, then come in when I want to. But there's going to be a pattern. It's going to be a pattern. So, yeah. But yeah, when it comes to this week, the week I'm recording this, of course, like I said, you're going to be seeing this on New Year's Eve. When it comes to this week, it's been very stressful to the point that, like I said, the team leads will, you know, unintentionally kind of take out the frustrations a little bit, you know, on the attendees, on the attendants, if you will, on the cash attendants and cash attendees and all that, because of the fact that, you know, it's just becoming too much. Nobody's coming up to the front when they're asked to. You know, people are calling out that are supposed to do cards. You know, it's just becoming very, very frustrating. I mean, I think on Monday they had to ask me for about 30 minutes to go out there and do cards. I had to do cards for 30 minutes. I didn't mind doing it, but because of my incidences, I can only do it by hand. So you got to do like 7 by hand. And I'm careful about that because I'm either now doing either 5 or 7 or at least 6, so I don't get in trouble anymore. And when it comes to the machine, you got to do like 25, if not 28 most, but mostly 25 for safety reasons. But it's just one of those. But yeah, it's just, one of those weeks, if you will, to where you're doing the best you can, but you just got to deal with what you got to deal with. Now, thankfully, after the next 3 days, I'm going. Of course, Christmas I'm going to be off, but I also asked for the day after off, and then I'm going to get Wednesday off. Then of course I asked for New Year's Eve, New Year's weekend off, which is Saturday and Monday. Then you might say, well, you might ask the same question my family that I asked, why didn't you ask for Christmas Eve? Here's the thing, New Year's Eve, even though it's still part of the holiday season, and it is a major holiday, it's basically the, lead into the new year. It is not looked at as, as it isn't, it is, how do I put this? It is not looked at as important, if you will, as a major hands-on deck priority like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and to an extent Easter. It's not looked at in that manner. Instead, it's looked at sort of in the same ways as Valentine's Day, Halloween, 4th of July, you name it. It is looked at, in that, same measure. Maybe, maybe with a bit more importance, but it's looked at in that way. And, that's why, if I was to try for Christmas Eve, there ain't no way I would have gotten it. Ain't no way. I mean, I guarantee you there's a lot of people that feel the same way. They probably thought about it, if not attempted it, and they probably got denied. Because, again, like Thanksgiving, it is a major priority. Like Black Friday, it is a major priority. So, there's just, nothing you can really do about it. But thankfully, I am going to get that weekend off. And I'm happy about that. So I can basically, after this week, I'll have 2 extra days, besides Christmas, I'll have an extra day to recharge. And then my hours, they do kind of reduce. But at least it'll be a reduction that I'm looking forward to, because it'll be a bit of relaxation. And I have a feeling things will pick up. I think I'll be going back to the normal, I would say 10 to 6, maybe 9 to 6 hours, in the future. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to balance me out to do 10 to 6, 9 to 6, as the day, as the year goes on. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to balance me out to where I have like 4 to 6 hours every now and then, and, as a working schedule. But right now, like I said, it's, as I'm recording this, trying to ask for, trying to request Christmas Eve off is, it would be a Christmas miracle. The only thing that I can do, and I left him a note yesterday, the guy that does the scheduling now, that I need to change my hours for Saturday to where I'll come in Saturday, but I can't work, the hours they gave me, because they gave me 11 to 8. And like I said earlier, the buses on the weekends don't run, after, don't run, after a certain hour. In this case, on the weekends, the 454 bus that picks me up from my job to take me back home, or at least take me to Patterson to wait to be picked up by the by the bus there, the 454, that's the last bus. It doesn't run after that. And I appreciate they want me to work. I appreciate they know they can depend on me to do a good job, but I can't do it, at that time. I can get up early on a Saturday and head out there, via the bus, because I know the bus is going to be running, and I know the bus is going to be running because obviously people are going to need to take the bus to go Christmas shopping, so I know the bus will be running. But, I can't work the hours they give me, and if he says, okay, well, look, let me reduce it to this, Like, let's say he wants me to still come in at 11, but I'll get up at 4:30. Fine, not a big deal. Not a big deal. It's fine. But again, it's just one of those situations to where it's just one of those situations to where um, you know it's just one of those situations to where you gotta try to work with each other. You gotta try to work with each other and stuff. And like I said, I'm gonna be glad to be having sort of a reduced schedule, at least for the final week of December. To kind of recharge my batteries. Like, I'll still be working, but recharging. Excuse me, if you kind of get what I'm saying. But again, hopefully things work out. I pray, give it to God, and hopefully the guy that does the scheduling is like, okay, we can bring you, if you want to come in at that time, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Because I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to call out. I don't know why, but I think a lot of people are going to call out because they don't want to work Christmas Eve and they want to be with family. I think that's what's going to happen. And me, again, I get what they want. I get what they want me to do, but it's not possible. And look, I did schedule a lift, but I don't even know if that's going to be reliable. Because my mom and my older sister have said lift's not going to pick you up on that night. They're going to want to be with family. And I get that too. But we shall see. We shall see what happens. Again, I told him, I told him in a note, hey, I need to talk to you about Saturday. I need to change my schedule on that day because the buses don't run after 5. And I have no other means of transportation. And Lyft, I don't know if that's going to be reliable or not. So hopefully they understand that. Because, my family has said they're not going to come get me. Although, technically, I think my mom would come get me if she had somebody to drive with. I think technically or ride with. I think technically she would do it. Because she knows, it's Christmas Eve and she shouldn't be saying she's not going to do things like that. I think technically she would. But right now, she doesn't want to have nothing to do with it. And I think also throughout the year, even though my family's been happy that I got this job, I think throughout the year, there have been various times where they're trying to give subtle hints of, maybe you should try to find work closer to home. And I've tried that. Nothing came calling. Nothing came calling. Like I said, I tried it. Nothing came calling. But hopefully in this new year, tomorrow, hopefully things will be different, and we'll have a better understanding that we got to work with each other, if you know what I mean. But yeah, outside of being back in the employment industry, working again, 2023's been kind of one of those years where certain, like I said earlier at the beginning, certain things happen entertainment wise, sports wise, that you didn't expect. People passing and stuff. Heck, I'll tell you this: if you're a Kansas Jayhawk, because I used to live in Lawrence, Kansas, I used to walk up to the KU campus, ride my bike up to the KU campus several times. If you're a Kansas Jayhawk fan, you have to be happy the fact that, hey, we're getting in a bowl game this year, next week. Us against, KU against Arkansas. I'd be happy about that. And if you're a Wildcats fan, and I've been, believe it or not, it was all part of I think what was it, FHA, kind of an FHA trip or something like that. It wasn't FBLA, but it was FHA. When I was in Oskaloosa High School, we took a trip to Manhattan, Kansas. We took a trip to Kansas State University. So yeah, I've been on both campuses. And I can tell you honestly, if you're a Wildcat fan, you have to be happy about this year too. You really do. But yeah, it's just been one of those years. One of those years where, things have just been kind of, I think it's more like, I think people are going to look at 2022 as sort of that transitional year where we were transitioning, because at the beginning we were still wearing masks and there was still somewhat limitations, but now everything is kind of getting back to normal. And I think 2022 is going to be looked at as that transitional year where, we started basically, we kind of started as we ended 2021, but as time went on, we slowly transitioned, and now, if you will, we are basically entering 2023, hopefully back to normal, without any incidences whatsoever. So yeah, it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy year of transition. And things changing, people, people that you wouldn't expect, passing and stuff. It's been one of those years. And for me, like I said, mostly positive with the exception of my dog passing away in the spring. But what's crazy about that is I still feel like she's here. Every time I go to work, I still picture her in my mind, laying in her bed in the living room, or laying in her bed in my room here. So, because she's been with us for so long. But yeah, outside of that, just one of those years. Just one of those years that's, looks like it's going to end somewhat the same way it's been, been proceeding, but hopefully that's not the case. So, yeah, it's been one of those. I will say, there's a very unusual. In closing, I will say it's been a very unusual, transitional, great, semi-great, I should say, 2022. That's all I will say. I mean, I will say this: if you're a Golden State Warriors fan, yeah, it was a great year because another NBA title, hopefully another to come. But yeah, outside of that, it's been a unusual, semi-great, transitional year here in 2022, and hopefully tomorrow, which by the time you watch this will be January 1st, 2023, we'll have a new year, and hopefully the odd years will be the better years. We can hope. But yep, that's just my video looking back on 2022 from my own personal experience, as well as kind of referencing and talking about some things that occurred throughout. Let me know what your thoughts were on this year, guys. How did you feel about it? Do you look at it the same way as I and probably others do, as a unusual transitional year, for a lot of us, going from what we ended 2021 with to where we're getting now to where we are now? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. You will get an audio podcast of this in the BW Roses podcast after it premieres. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if I am able to monetize by this time, super chats would be welcomed, and super thanks as well if they are available for monetization, if I can still monetize at that time. Also, you can check me out at deviantart.com, says BVW1979, VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Also, support me at VENMO at Brian-Romer-2, Cash App at BW Roses 98. Also, support me at Patreon.com, says BW Roses, $1, $3 tier. And check me out again where you'll get an audio version of this. Check me out at BW Roses Discussion, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. So until whenever, guys, or until tomorrow, which again will be January 1st, 2023 when you watch this. Happy New Year. Thank you for supporting this channel. Very much appreciate it. It's been a great year for this channel. And next year will be 15 years. That's right, guys. June 4th, if we can make it that far, hopefully monetized and everything, will mark 15 years with this channel. So, thank you for your support. Happy New Year. And let's look forward to a new and brighter 2023. And countdown to basically the 15th anniversary of this channel here on YouTube.